You think you know me.
Hey guys, welcome to WrestleRant edition number 7. Your host, Bleacher Report featured columnist GSM. I am sorry for my absence over the past 7 days. I was a little busy this weekend, wasn't able to do the SmackDown review that I hoped, or Impact Wrestling, but I am back today for the 7th edition of WrestleRant. And here today we are going to recap August 22nd edition of WWE Monday Night Raw. Another very strong, explosive edition of Raw, nonetheless. We kicked off the show with WWE Champion Alberto Del Rio kicking it off, and John Cena only to interrupt them within the first few words of his promo. Which I'm kind of glad, because Del Rio is always using the same redundant promos to get himself over. I heard immense boos from him, in the crowd, but from people that did attend the show, I heard that he did not get over as hoped. Maybe because he always does the same gimmick, he always does the same promos, whatever. He always does the same thing. I don't really care. I think he's getting over perfectly fine. Cena stated his case. It wasn't PG. It wasn't too furious as in last week, so it was good from Cena. I was very excited to see CM Punk come out, as I am very glad to see WWE actually acknowledge the rematch clause that both Cena and CM Punk have for the WWE Championship, because both deserve a chance at it. I would prefer a triple threat between John Cena, CM Punk, and Alberto Del Rio, but we are not going to see that. More than likely we'll see Del Rio versus Cena and Night of Champions. We'll talk about that in a little bit as comes the main event match. But Triple H interrupted well. He set the main event. I would have liked to see Punk versus Cena set out in advance, 1 week in advance, to help get some ratings in for Raw, as they've been slunking a little bit lately. So so overall, very good segment from those guys. As we went on, immediately after that, we had Alberto Del Rio taking on John Morrison in the opening match. A very, very, very exciting contest. Del Rio and John Morrison have amazing chemistry, and I would love to see a feud between the two down the line. Morrison has been booked to be a jobber in the last couple weeks, except for last week when he had a very strong showing against R-Truth. This week, another very strong showing against Del Rio. Del Rio has been on the roll of his career the last 8 days as of last night. But Morrison actually had me convinced that he was going to win that match with all the near falls that he had in that contest. Many roll-ups, that chuck kick, almost reversing the cross arm breaker at one point. Very nice match. Got a great amount of time. I hope Morrison does something going into Night of Champions, and hopefully we see a future feud between the two, and Morrison can eventually get back into the WWE Championship picture that he was once in earlier this year. So immediately following that, we saw Eve Torres take on Nikki Bella, a match that we've seen numerous times before over the last 6 months. Didn't really do anything for me. I don't think the fans were really into it. I heard them cheering and chanting something. I have no idea what it was. They're going to make out what it was. I don't really care. But it was a decent match. Nikki Bella or Brie Bella, they can't wrestle. They're not champions anymore, so I don't really see the need to get them on television. I'd much rather see... I think the only reason that they are on television, to be honest, is that they fired Melina, Maurice is hurt, and Beth Phoenix is a part of the feud. So they don't have any heel divas on Raw anymore. They really don't. So I guess they got to keep on using the Bellas. I say that was a stupid decision to fire Melina, but whatever. That's not a part of this. Anyway, Eve had a nice showing, blah, 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 blah. The Divas of Doom came out, hyped their eventual feud. Looks to be a decent feud between Kelly, Eve, Beth Phoenix, and Natalya. A tag team match eventually down the line. Hopefully we see Beth Phoenix capture the title. I'm sorry, I sound like a broken record, but eventually I hope to see Beth Phoenix capture the title at Night of Champions and have some awesome defenses going into WrestleMania. I heard that Kelly is the John Cena of the Divas division. That is perfectly true, but I would really like to hope, I would really love to hope that she doesn't retain the title going into WrestleMania against Punk. Please, no. Beth Phoenix, please be champion. Very, very soon. After that, we had Alex Riley and Jack Swagger in a rematch from last week. Another uninspiring match in my taste. These two are capable of much more. I know that because these guys had a 10-minute main event match in WWE Superstars. Those who actually watch that program know what I'm talking about. But it was once again taken away from United States champion Dolph Ziggler and Vicky Guerrero, the new manager for Jack Swagger. Now I'm liking the move that we are actually getting managers that they're actually going to matter again. Jack Swagger could use a manager in order to get himself over again as a legitimate Raw heel and hopefully get the United States Championship picture. Alex Riley got a nice win, but what does it do for him if the match only lasted 2-3 minutes? I mean, he got a big pop. I'm impressed by that because Riley has trouble getting himself over at some points, but this match didn't do much for me. I'm also kind of intrigued to see maybe Dolph Ziggler or Jack Swagger eventually go through a babyface turn somewhere down the line, but hopefully we see a triple threat match in Night of Champions over the United States Championship, and Vicky Guerrero can somehow play a part in that. And after that, we had a very, very, very strong segment from not John Cena, Triple H, Kevin Nash, and CM Punk, and a much more organized, stronger segment from last week. These three guys are ripping up the Raw roster with all the high drama and suspicion as to who could have sent that text. You never know. Nash could be lying. It could be John Laurinaitis. It could be Stephanie McMahon, as pointed out by CM Punk. I am like that he pointed it out, so it didn't seem like a surprise later, but CM Punk is awesome at what he does and getting the crowd behind him. That's what made this segment so beautiful. CM Punk is stating the logic here, and that cheap shot by Kevin Nash on the babyface CM Punk really gets Kevin Nash some heat that he desperately needs. They kind of shot out the what chants, which are completely outdated, which are annoying at this point. And it seems to bother Nash, but nonetheless, Nash had a much better week this week, and Triple H showed some reasoning how he could not have been the person who texted Nash that night. You never know. I am also looking forward to this unfold in coming weeks. After that, we saw Kofi Kingston and Evan Bourne take on the then WWE Tag Team Champions, David Otunga and Michael McGillicuddy, the Boarfest, as I like to call them, because they have done literally nothing as champions. And I'm pretty much laughed out loud when Jerry Lawler mentioned on commentary that he's never seen them defend the titles, which is true. They only defended the titles once on SmackDown a couple of weeks ago against the Usos. I'm not sure how that's supposed to work out, as every champion is supposed to defend their title every 30 days, per their clause in their contract. But you never know. WWE likes to think that we're stupid not to realize that fact, but doesn't really matter. Anyway, moving on. I am very glad to see Kofi Kingston and Evan Bourne, the champions. Finally we get the gold off of the Boarfest. I am very intrigued to see what Kofi and Evan Bourne can do after this. I would mark out for a match against the Usos. That would be beautiful. Kofi and Evan showed some great tag team moves. So did the new Nexus, aka, Michael McGillicuddy and David Otunga, since the new Nexus is dead. But they showed some great chemistry, and this was a great match. The crowd popped big, and hopefully, like Jim Ross said, we can hopefully see some tag team division being ripped up in the coming weeks. Hopefully we see some new teams. And that brings me to my next point. The Miz and R-Truth attacked Santino Marella to go on to cut an amazing, awesome, fun promo right before the main event match. The Miz and R-Truth are, as we saw a couple weeks ago, a perfect team. They are hilarious in backstage segments. They have a lot of chemistry, and they both have this conspiracy theory against them. You never know. Well, it's so-called conspiracy theory. I would love to see this lead to something, much like last year in TNA when Nash, Sting, and De Niro believed there was a conspiracy and actually did to turn out to be immortal. I'm hoping that they do the same thing with Miz and R-Truth. But this is a very, very fun segment. I laughed for the rap that R-Truth did following the match, that they really got the crowd some heat behind them. And the crowd was booing the entire time. This is a live show, too, so it's not canned heat either. So there was a beautiful promo, and I'm hoping that we see Miz and R-Truth make the card out of champions and take on Kingston and Evan Bourne for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Then, immediately after that, we had the main event match between John Cena and CM Punk, the third time that we've seen them go head-to-head in recent months. Well, the fourth if you count their Raw encounter before capital punishment, but that doesn't really count. This one is the third one with high stake, with everything at stake here. Number one contendership for the WWE Championship. A very, very, very good match between John Cena and CM Punk. Once again, nothing short of amazing, but they did keep it down a little bit, so it did have raw quality. Just to show that the fans who didn't buy pay-per-views like SummerSlam and Money in the Bank, what they're missing out on. This is a 50-minute classic. Very, very fun. That got the crowd behind them. Very close near falls. I knew John Cena was going to win because I knew they were going to set up Cena vs. Del Rio at Night of Champions. But I feel stupid for not realizing that Laurinaitis lied to Triple H about Nash being in the hospital. My little brother pointed that out seconds after Nash came out. I'm surprised. I didn't realize that. I'm kind of stupid when it comes to that kind of stuff. But very, very strong match. And it did everything that it needed to do. If there was a clean finish for that match, it would have completely ruined the purpose, and it would have been better on pay-per-view. But very good match, as I said before. Very strong way to end the show too, with WWE Champion Alberto Del Rio ending the show, attacking John Cena. That also gets him over. As I said before, he's been on the roll of his career in recent weeks as WWE Champion. He's getting very strong victories, especially against Daniel Bryan, Rey Mysterio, and John Morrison. And attacking John Cena makes him look like a monster. And getting clean victories is what he needs to help him get himself over and memorable as a WWE Champion. So overall, a very strong show. I am looking forward to what WWE can produce in coming weeks. Seeing that they're going to be eventually going head-to-head with football, that they really need to keep this drama up the fall season. And I'm kind of intrigued for every single concept that's going on Raw right now. The new tag team divisions being, that's going. We got the Divas rivalry going right now. We got Punk and Nash. I'm kind of anticipating a future match between those two, even though Nash can't really work. And I'm highly anticipating Cena vs. Del Rio 2 coming out of Champions. So overall, great show. And also, by the way, when I was camping this past weekend, I found out the breaking news about Matt Hardy being released from TNA. Let me just talk about that for one quick second. Matt Hardy was one of my favorite wrestlers in TNA. Hopefully he can somehow get his life back on track. He's a very deep person, and this DUI arrest is something that really needs to get his life back together. Jeff is returning in a couple weeks, or next week I should say, and I'm kind of excited to see how that turns out. Hopefully Matt Hardy can get his life back on track. I would love to see him back in WWE. I doubt that's going to happen, seeing that WWE doesn't want them back, doesn't want either of the Hardys back, but we'll see. So that is it for this week's 7th edition of WrestleRant. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, save_us_GSM. Visit my personal website for news, recaps, rumors, and more, nextairwrestling.weebly.com. And also to check out my Bleacher Report articles below in the links. Thank you for watching. This is Bleacher Report featured columnist, GSM, signing out.